Hello friends, this is Carrie and welcome back to I Like Reddit channel. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy. Today friends, we have 5 stories out of the Entitled Parent subreddit. Let's begin. Our first story is by Pokemon95. Entitled parent leaves sick child at school. This happened a few years ago, back when Corona was just a beer and before daily temperature checks in school were required. My son was in his first year of preschool, and almost on a daily basis I volunteered in his classroom. My great aunt happened to be my son's teacher. She's part of what inspired me to become a teacher myself. On this particular day, it was very cold outside and we were in the middle of flu season. One child came in on time in the sea of children, and it was obvious that he was sick. It was only when his mother had left that the boy was sitting at the table for breakfast that I could tell that he was not feeling well. I will call him Nice Kid, NK, because he really was a sweet little boy. Nice Kid was pale and had a runny nose. I went over to him and said hi, me. Hey Nice Kid, how are you doing? Did you enjoy your snow day yesterday? Nice Kid, yeah, he said drowsily. Me, are you feeling okay, bud? Nice Kid, not really. I reached out and placed my hand on his forehead. The poor boy was on fire. I immediately alerted the teacher, my aunt, M.A., me. Miss Aunt, I think Nice Kid is sick. He's very hot. My aunt came over with a handheld thermometer that they kept in the medical cabinet and took his temperature. He was 102, or 38.8 degrees Celsius, for anybody who uses Celsius. This school didn't have a nurse on site. We took Nice Kid to the small lobby, gave him a cup of water to sip on, while my aunt called his mom. My aunt, hello Mrs. E.M. This is my aunt from Nice Kid's school. I need you to return my call as soon as possible. Nice Kid has a 102-degree fever, and he can't be at school while he's sick. Please call me back at this number. My aunt came back to the lobby to check on Nice Kid's temperature again. He was still at 102 degrees Fahrenheit. Since there was another teacher in the classroom, my aunt and I stayed with Nice Kid. I kept trying to cheer him up and make him feel more comfortable while my aunt kept trying to call his mother. Finally, after 30 minutes of trying to get a hold of his mother, my aunt got through. The following conversation is what my aunt told me was said. My aunt, Mrs. E.M., I'm glad you picked up. Nice Kid is sick. He's running a fever of over 102. We need you to come and pick him up. E.M. Yeah, I know he's sick, but I don't have anyone to watch him. I'm already 45 minutes away and I'm late for my lunch date. My aunt. I understand you had plans, but I think your son's a little more important. If you knew he is sick, then you should have never had him come to school. I'm sorry, but you need to come and pick him up. E.M. He's going to have to wait until I'm back in town. I'm going to be a few hours. Just let him nap on his cot. He'll be fine. My aunt. Miss E.M., I think you're misunderstanding me. You need to come and pick him up now. He cannot be here. E.M. Like I said, I will pick him up when I'm back in town. Good day. The E.M. hung up, and my aunt tries several more times to call her back, but with no answer. After another 30 minutes, the Nice Kid's temperature had jumped to 103, and he was acting very lethargic. At this point, my aunt and her supervisor, who had arrived late due to her having car trouble, decided to call an ambulance. Within 10 minutes, Nice Kid was loaded into the ambulance and on his way to the local hospital. After this, I took my son home and stayed with him for a few days to ensure that he didn't catch whatever Nice Kid may have had. I was overly cautious about sickness even before COVID, but not too cautious not to help. My aunt is not allowed to tell me what had happened with the EM after this, but I do know that CPS was involved and Nice Kid did recover. From that day onward, his grandparents were the ones who dropped him off and picked him up. I have not seen the EM since. Our next story is posted by Amber Aslan. Entitled Mom demands I watch her child after work. So I work in a daycare, and boy do I have some stories for you. The daycare I work at is open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. It was the end of day and I was cleaning up. Most of the kids have been picked up, all except one, a 5-year-old boy who I will call Alex. We waited half an hour after the pickup time ended as parents get held up in traffic. After that, we decided to give his mother a call, and this is how it went. Me. Hi Mrs. E.M., we're just calling to let you know that your son needs to be picked up. Mrs. E.M. Oh, well, I'm not ready to pick him up yet. I'm gonna need to leave him with you for a few more hours. Me. I'm sorry, Mrs. E.M., but we do not keep kids past 4. We will be closing soon, and the employees will be leaving, including me. Mrs. E.M. Couldn't you just make an exception? Just this once? Me. I'm sorry, but we'll all be leaving, and there will be nobody here to watch him. Mrs. E.M. Well, can't you just take him home? I can pick him up there. Me, Mrs. EM, I can't and I won't do that. Our hours are 8 to 4, no later, and we do not take children back to our homes. Mrs. EM, I can't pick him up right now, so you're going to have to keep him. Then she hung up. I tried calling her back, but she didn't answer. At this point, I called her ex-husband, the boy's father. I told him that if somebody doesn't pick up the boy in the next half hour, I will be forced to call the police or child services. He came down rather quickly and apologized for his ex's behavior. I guess he didn't call his ex to let her know that he had picked up her kid because she called at 7 p.m. yelling at us that the daycare was closed. I explained to her that the child's father took him. She started screaming at me, but I just hung up. Our next story is posted by Cheeto Dude 2365. Entitled mother demands extra free Krispy Kreme donuts, ends up having the police called. Hey everyone, so as you all know, Krispy Kreme is giving a free donut if you got your vaccination. Cast. EM, entitled mother. So this afternoon I headed to Krispy Kreme. I wanted some donuts and bring home some for the kiddos. So I drive to Krispy Kreme and go inside. I wait in line, and in front of me is an entitled mother with 3 kids. Then it's the entitled mother's turn, and she tells the Krispy Kreme employee, "Can I get 4 dozen donuts, please?" The employee says, "Yes, ma'am." A couple of minutes later, 4 dozen donuts pop out, and then the EM goes to the register, and the employee tells the woman, "Your total is $24 or $30, ma'am. Please pay now." I don't know the exact price for sure. I may have gotten that wrong. So the EM goes through her bag. I'm thinking she's going to pay for it. She pulls out her vaccination card. It's her vaccination card as well as that of her 3 children. The EM gives a smile and says, "Here you go." The employee says, "Sorry ma'am, the vaccination cards for 4 dozen donuts doesn't work, and we're not allowed to do that. But we can give you 4 donuts for your vaccination cards though. Would you like that, ma'am?" EM says, "I'd like 4 dozen donuts. We're all vaccinated, all 4 of us, so that means we get 4 dozen donuts." The employee says, "I'm sorry, ma'am. We aren't allowed to do that. We can only offer you 1 donut per person when they show their vaccination card. But if you'd like, you can still buy the 4 dozen donuts." The EM suddenly turns from smiles to angry, rude face. EM says, "How dare you deny me the donuts? I took the vaccination to protect all of you people. I did this for you. What do you think I got my kids vaccinated for? I serve all of you. And this is how you return the favor? Give me my freaking donuts now." So the EM got extremely loud and rough. The employee calls the police, and the police come to Krispy Kreme. The officer talks to the employee and the EM, and then the police took the EM. So since they were taking so long, and the employees were still so busy, I headed over to Dunkin' instead. But seriously though, the EM's sense of entitlement was like, seriously? Shaking my head. People like her just make my blood boil. No reason to treat someone else so disrespectfully just because you didn't get your way. If you're enjoying the content so far, please put a heart emoji in the comments section down below. Our next story is posted by Warrior White. Entitled mom lets her kids sit on my husband's brand new motorcycle. This just happened. We live in a pretty decent middle-income apartment complex. Lots of immigrants, but almost everybody is crazy friendly. Due to COVID, a lot of parents have been letting their children run around like crazy, using the parking lot as their playground. Normally I don't mind. Like I said, everybody's very friendly. 2 weeks ago, we bought my husband his very first ever motorcycle, Harley Iron 1200. We bought it brand new from the dealership. It's parked in front of my tiny smart car in our assigned parking space. We outfitted it with covers, movement alarms, chains, etc. My husband's planning on driving it this weekend, so I took the cover off to plug in a portable charger/battery tender. It still has the chains and motion alarms on it, so I left it alone. I was sitting next to our balcony window when I hear the alarms going off. I walk out onto the balcony to see a 3-year-old kid climbing outside of the motorcycle. I rushed down the stairs as fast as I could. I use a cane, so I'm kinda slow. When I got down to the bike, the kid was sitting on it fully, trying to turn the handlebars. The bike has a 4th lock, which keeps the front wheels locked to the left. He keeps repeatedly jamming the handlebars to the right. This can damage the bike. I yelled, "Hey, get off the bike." The kid looked startled and scared, but didn't move. I approached him and said, "It's not your bike, this is not a toy, and you need to ask before you can sit on this." I told him to run home and not to sit on the bike again. The kid sheepishly crawls off the bike and runs off towards whichever apartment was his. I checked the bike out and it seemed okay. I was just attempting to climb the steps back up to my apartment when I hear, "Excuse me!" I turn and see a heavy-set, super angry-looking woman clomping towards me with the same kid in tow. The EM asks, "Are you the one who told my son he couldn't sit on this motorcycle?" I said, "Yes. This is my husband's bike. The boy was playing on it with no one around. I told him that he couldn't climb on other people's vehicles like that." EM, "I told him it was okay. He saw the bike when he was playing and asked if he could sit on it." Me, "Ma'am, this isn't your bike. You can't give him permission to be on it." EM, "So, I live in the apartment across the street. I was watching him from my window. He wasn't hurting anything." Me, "Ma'am, he was trying to turn the wheel of the bike with a fork engaged. He could have seriously damaged the vehicle or worse, dropped it on himself. I don't see how you watching him from across the street will help him when a 900-pound bike crushes him." EM, "He was just playing with it. He wasn't hurting anything." Me, "Lady, I do not give your kid permission to climb on my bike. Whether you're watching him or not, please tell your son to never do it again." EM, "Well, you're not always going to be around to guard it. What's stopping him from playing on it when you're not here?" She said it so smugly, like she was challenging me. I pointed to the smart car behind the bike. "Do you see the dash camera right there? That thing is motion activated. If your son tries to play with the bike, he will be recorded. If I catch you or your kid so much as touch the bike, let alone removing the cover or climbing on it, I will report you to the management office and to the police." The EM growls angrily, grabs her kid by the hand, and storms off. I put the cover back on the bike and I put another emotion alarm around the straps and cinched the cover tight. Not foolproof, but should make a good amount of racket if somebody moves the cover too much. I gotta speak to my husband and the management office on how to deal with the situation if it occurs again. I understand the kid is doing this because he doesn't know any better, but his mother is a piece of work. Update. Spoke to my husband last night, and he was understandably furious but was more concerned for the kid's safety. I spoke to the office the next morning, and I showed them the dashcam footage, and they recognized the kid and the mother immediately. Apparently, they've had some trouble with this kid playing in the parking lot unsupervised. This isn't the first time that this particular mother/child have caused problems on the property. Apparently, the kid broke somebody's windshield a few months back by climbing on top of the car. Office is going to speak to her. They took a copy of the dashcam footage. Hopefully, threatening her with lease violations will encourage her to keep a better eye on her child. For now, I'm just going to leave the cover tied on the bike with the motion alarms attached to the ties to keep the cover on. With no apparent seat to sit on, it should deter the kid from climbing on. And if the mother tries to remove the cover itself, it will set off the alarms. Best we can do for now. For those worried about me pointing out the dash cam to the mother, it's inside the vehicle, which is also motion alarm. If she tries to mess with it, I will always have the last 4 hours of secondary video uploaded online, so I can prove that she was the one who damaged my smart car to get the dash cam. TLDR. EM leaves 3-year-old unattended in a parking lot of an apartment. Child climbs on a brand new motorcycle to play with it, claims the mother gave him permission to play on other people's bikes. Our final story is posted by Amber Asalon. EM demands we kick out a kid with health problems out of daycare. This one happened before the pandemic started. So the kid in question we'll call Stan. Stan has been coming to us since he was 1. He's a great kid, he's well behaved, and he's really just one of the sweetest kids you'd ever meet. But not long after he turned 5, Stan developed a disorder called gastroparesis that had advanced to the point where he lost most of the function of his stomach and now requires feeding through tubes. The story. It was early in the morning and the kids were just coming in when I noticed Stan and his parents. This was Stan's first day back after getting his feeding tube installed. His parents kept him out of daycare for a few weeks so that he could get used to the tube. First thing he did was run up and show me his new tube. Bright as ever, smiling so proud. From what I learned from his parents and the little I could find online, the tube goes up through his nose and down his throat to his intestines. It looked so uncomfortable, but this boy doesn't seem bothered one bit. He just ran off to play with the other kids. Well, EM apparently had a problem. Just as I was gathering the kids to head on in, the EM came up. I just now realized that all of my EMs are mashed together, and you guys might think that they're all the same person. So I'm going to start giving them names so that you can tell them apart. We'll call this one Sharon. Sharon must have noticed that Stan was playing with the other kids. Sharon: what is that boy wearing? Stan carries a feeding tube supplies in a small backpack. Me: It's a feeding tube. Stan has stomach issues and can't eat on his own. Sharon. So he's sick? Me. His parents sent out a form to all the families explaining this. Did you not get one? Sharon. I don't feel comfortable with him being here. What if he gets my son sick? Me. It's not a contagious disease. You can't catch it. Sharon. How do you know? You need to remove him from this class. It's not safe. Me. That won't be happening. He got doctor's approval to come back and he will be staying here. Sharon. So you're gonna put all the other kids at risk? Me. What risk? He's not contagious. Sharon. Well, even if he's not contagious, he's still scaring my son. He can't be here. It's traumatizing to the other kids. Side note. Stan was actually at the time of the conversation surrounded by kids who were actually fascinated with Stan's feeding tube and asking him questions, and he seemed proud to answer. None of them seemed uncomfortable in the slightest, including Sharon's son. Stan seemed to love the attention. Me. They don't seem traumatized, pointing over to the kids. Me. In fact, it seems like Stan has himself a little fan club. Sharon. This is ridiculous. You're putting all these kids at risk. You should have removed this boy, or I will go to the director. Me. I'm not removing anyone, and let's go to the director. EM. Sharon does the classic EM huff and walks off mumbling to herself. I don't think she ever called the director, as I mentioned it to the director the next day, and she told me she never got any call. So there's another tale I have from Daycare. That's all the stories I have for today. Links to the original Reddit posts will be in the description box below. Please stop on by Reddit to show the OP some love and an upvote. If you enjoy my videos, please comment, like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell notification to let you know when I upload new videos. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.